What is good, y'all, and welcome to my UFC Fight Night Vancouver predictions. Starting first with the early prelim opener of Melissa Croden versus Tainara Lisboa. I'm leaning towards Melissa Croden because Tainara Lisboa, I don't think she's quite UFC level. This is definitely not going to be the best fight, but I think Melissa Croden has all the tools to win this by 29-28 decision and just be a bit better. But next up on the card, a fight I'm very, very excited for, is Azmat Bakoev versus Yusri Belgarwi. Yusri Belgarwi is a world champion level kickboxer, and Azmat Bakoev is next up and coming. Now, Bakoev is the favorite, and I'm leaning him to win by KO because he has really, really weird power. He's not super fast, but he lands, and when he lands, you tend to go down, and I think he's going to KO Yusri Bogari with an overhand right halfway through round three. It's going to be a really, really fun back and forth, but Bakoev has the option to take down Belgari at will, and I think that's going to really open up his hands. He's going to fake a takedown and come over the top with a right hand. Bulgari is a really, really great kickboxer, but he's got a style of kickboxing that's really good for kickboxing, not necessarily really good for MMA. And that is why I'm picking Asmat Bakov to win this by KO. Next up, we have Stephanie Luciano versus Ravina Oliveira. I don't think Ravina Oliveira has the skills or the gas tank to really hang with Stephanie Luciano for three full rounds. I think Luciano is going to beat the brakes off of Ravina Oliveira, especially in rounds 2 and 3. Uh, I'm picking Stephanie Luciano to win this by decision, but there's also good money on a KO. Ravina Oliveira has to take this fight to the ground. She has to look for a submission, and that's a really, really hard ask, especially when someone's completely gassed out. Which brings us to our next fight on the card, which is Danny Barlow versus Jordan Santos. Danny Barlow stepping up from welterweight, and let's be for real, he beat the brakes off of Nikolai Veretennikov. I think he's going to hit that left hand and switch off Jordan Santos. Jordan Santos is really tough. He can take a beating, but like, what does Jordan Santos do better than Danny Barlow? He's not faster. He don't hit harder. He's not a good striker. He's not a good grappler. I think Danny Barlow's gonna keep this on the feet. He's gonna be way faster and just be knocking his head around. Probably round 2 KO because maybe all the power doesn't translate up to 185. Next up at flyweight, we have Park Hyung Sung versus Bruno Silva. Bro, Bruno Silva used to be so good, but it's just this new generation of flyweights is just too much for him to keep up with. He can beat the unranked guys of the weight class, but the Manel Cap fight was just too much. Joshua Van put it on him. I think Park Hyung Sung, especially with no real threat of a takedown, is just gonna cleave him out cold with an overhand. You know, same old outcome, different circumstances around it. I think Bruno Silva's getting KO'd. Next up, we have Aori Trilang versus Cody Gibson. I think Cody Gibson's just going to out wrestle Aori Trilang to a very clear 30, 27, 29, 28 decision. Aori just doesn't have too much for him on the feet, and I don't think he's going to be able to out grapple him and deny the takedowns. Cody Gibson has relatively good entries on takedowns. He's really strong when he gets you to the mat. He's really, really heavy on top. I think he's going to be able to handle Cody Gibson very, very easily. Cody Gibson's going to be able to handle him very easily on the ground. Uh, Boring decision. It's probably going to kill the card's momentum that's been built. But we come back with Drew Dober versus Kyle Prepelec. I'm picking Drew Dober. Now, part of me wants to pick Prepelec, but I don't think Dober's that washed. I mean, he was very competitive with Jean Silva. He was very competitive with. He wasn't really that competitive with Manuel Torres, but Manuel Torres switched off Nicholas Mata. I think he can switch off anybody this weight class. I think Kyle Prepelic did land some strikes that were really heavy against Benoit, Benoit's not as defensively sound as Dober. Not saying Dober has great defense, but it's way better than Benoit's defense. I don't think he's gonna find those strikes. Prepelic is slow, and no one's talking about that. And I just think this is gonna be a Drew Dober. Y'all must have forgot performance. Which brings us to the main card of Kyle Nelson versus Matt Frivola in the opener. I'm leaning Matt Frivola. I'm gonna go Matt Frivola. Kyle Nelson's not that good, but he has this weird way of being able to manufacture these TKOs when his opponents are clearly still conscious. But then I remember Matt Frivola like actually KO Drew Dober. This dude has insane power and explosiveness. He's gonna knock Kyle Nelson out badly. Next up, we have Davy Grant versus Charles Jourdain, and I'm picking Davy Grant as an underdog. I haven't seen Davy Grant lose this decade. He has 2 losses this decade to um, Adrian Yanez and to Daniel Marcos. I've watched both of those fights. He didn't lose those fights. The judges failed him. He didn't lose a single round to Daniel Marcos. I don't know what the judges were watching. Davy Grant's gonna outbox and put a beating on Charles Jourdain and win this by a clear decision. I think he's gonna 30-27 Charles Jourdain. I think Davy Grant deserves a ranked opponent. I mean, he just beat Damone Blackshear literally 4 months ago, 3 months ago actually, and now he's back fighting Charles Jourdain. I think Davy Grant still got it. Unk still got it. He's gonna put a beating on Charles Jourdain, which leads us to a women's flyweight title eliminator between Jasmine Jasdavicius and Manon Fior. I like Jasmine Jasdavicius. I'm rooting for Jasmine Jasdavicius. She ain't winning this fight. Manon Fior is just too big, too strong, too much of a man on. Uh, I think she's gonna really beat up Jasmine Jasdavicius in the clinch, where she's just gonna hold her there. I really want Jasdavicius to take this to the ground and submit her, but Manon has such good takedown defense. I think that is such a hard ask for someone with such good takedown defense to end up on their back. She's so big and strong for the weight class. Nah, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think Fior is gonna press Jasdavicius up against the fence and just wail on her with strikes. Those little busy strikes that aren't gonna finish the fight, but they hurt. I think she's gonna win with those. And that brings us up to the feature fight of Ayman Zahabi versus Marlon Chito Vera. And I hate that I'm picking Ayman Zahabi to win this fight because he's not special. He's 37 years old as a contender at bantamweight. Yeah, 37 years old as a contender at bantamweight. But Chito Vera does this thing where he doesn't do anything, and he just lets fights get away from him. He'll sit around and allow you to kick his ass, and he won't even fight back. And I think that's going to be too much for Vera. I think Zahabi's going to be looking for takedowns early because Chito Vera's takedown defense gets better as the fight goes on. I think Zahabi's going to do just enough to win a 29-28 decision, win the first 2 rounds, survive a hairy 3rd round, and win this fight clearly. And then we have Ayman Zahabi as a top 10 contender. What is wrong with the world? But that leads us to the co-main event of Kevin Holland versus Mike Malott. Mike Malott's about to beat the brakes off Kevin Holland, and I think he's going to stop him. He's either going to take him down immediately in round 1 and sub him, or I think he might KO him on the feet. Like, actually out cold, right hand down the pipe, spins Kevin Holland's head around. Kevin Holland is just a fighter I absolutely just don't like. This isn't even part of the prediction. Kevin Holland has no fundamental defense. His fundamental offense is terrible. He allows these fights, which should be not close, to be close because he doesn't go for it and he doesn't do everything he should. He's 6'3" with an 82-inch reach, Why does he not have the best jab in the division? Why does he not have the best front kick in the division? Why does he not have the best side kick in the division? Why is his straight right not as prominent as it should be? It's just one of those things he catches you with out of nowhere. It's not something he properly sets up. I don't understand Kevin Holland. He has a Darce choke, he has a triangle choke, he has an arm bar, he has a rear naked choke, and a bunch of wild strikes that may or may not land. I don't understand. He fights like a middle schooler in a bathroom. It makes no sense. I just don't believe in him, especially against Mike Malott. Mike Malott's got good power, good defense, fundamentally sound, strong grappler, great submission ability. Is literally going to be Kevin Holland's losing the fight, and then he decides to not lose if he wins. It's going to be like a comeback submission, or Mike Malott gasses in round 3, and Holland just sparks him out cold. But I'm not picking Kevin Holland to win the majority of this fight. I don't think he is. I think he's going to lose this fight, clear. And that brings us to our main event of Ryder de Ritter versus Brendan Allen. I'm picking Ryder de Ritter because Brendan Allen's a fucking idiot. So many times I just see this dude make the worst possible decisions in fights. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. He just does the dumbest things imaginable. He'll give up good positions. He has all the tools to win this. I think he can outbox Ryder de Ritter easily. But he's going to get caught up in the clinch. He's going to take those knees to the body. And there's no part of me that believes that at any point during these 25 scheduled minutes that the fight doesn't end up on the ground. And if the fight ends up on the ground, who do I trust more? Allen has some great jiu-jitsu, but he'll always give up position. De Ritter doesn't give up position. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's longer, and he doesn't give up positions. He's not going to go to his back to try to hunt for a triangle and get his guard passed. He's not going to give up the back if he has it, unless it's to take him out. Like, De Ritter does smart things with his grappling on top of having dangerous grappling. I watched Ryder de Ritter strangle a guy out cold, completely out cold, with an inverted triangle choke. Allen doesn't have half of what De Ritter has in his repertoire when it comes to submission ability. I'm picking Ryder de Ritter to win this by finish. Literally, Ryder de Ritter by however he wants in round 2 or 3. I'm leaning round 3 because I do think Brendan Allen at the end of the day is a well-trained, well-rounded fighter, but he's just so dumb. I can't trust him to win, especially on short notice. I'm picking Brendan Allen to win this fight. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a little comment too, and hit that bell notification so you know when I post my next video.